Hello and welcome to the first video in the series on examples on how to use our Webscraper from Rttechnologylabs. You will find it very easy to use without any specialized knowledge. If you haven't installed the Webscraper or XPDA, then please take a look at the video on XPDA and Webscraper install from our video page, as this will be extremely helpful to get you started. As mentioned in the last video, please be aware that permission and usage for the data you will be downloading or extracting will be your responsibility. Here is our Webscraper. If you have installed it correctly and have added the Webscrape feed, then you will be able to see the Webscrape feed name as shown here. This page also has instructions on how to proceed with web scraping, but once you start web scraping, the main screen will show you the website that it is currently using to scrape the selected data. If you need to go back to this screen, then go to the Webscraper label at the top left of the screen and then click on About. Let us start our example by taking a look in our browser at the Bloomberg Stock Market Index for the Americas on their publicly available webpage. Here are 5 values we can use for our demonstration. We copy the URL at the top of the browser, go to the Webscraper, highlight and delete the contents of this box, replace it with the URL from the browser, and then click on the Go button. You will notice that the above pane now shows the page we were viewing in our browser. We go to the top left of our page, click on Webscraper, and then select Pause Scraping. This is because we are going to enter more than one entry, and we didn't want the Webscraper to start working whilst we are entering our other choices. Next, we need to enter a name to describe the data we are going to scrape. Let's call it Dow_Jones. Right-click on the value, and you will notice that the path box has been filled with the path to this data, and the value has gone into the value box. As this is the first entry, we can set the options by clicking on the More Options button. Here you can set the poll interval, initial poll, load weight, and regex replace settings. Here's a little explanation about each one. The poll interval is the period of time in seconds before the next refresh of that data. So if you set it to 60, then every 60 seconds you will get a refresh or update of that data. If you only need it collecting daily, then you would set it to 86,400, which is the amount of seconds in one day. The initial poll is a delay period from the poll interval before it starts. What this is for is that if you have a large amount of data being collected every hour and you want to stagger some to start a little later in the hour, then you could offset the collection by the initial poll, for example to 20. This would mean that this particular data will be collected 20 seconds later than the poll interval. You may leave this as 0 if it is not needed. The load weight is only needed when some sites have a delay in displaying their updates. This means that the Webscraper will wait if the data is not shown straight away for the period of milliseconds you state. If this is needed, a typical amount would be 500 milliseconds, but you may need to experiment on the specific website you use. Regex replace is only required when the data coming through is formatted with characters you don't need. A good example is if the data consists of a currency symbol. This can be used to hide that symbol and display only the data. Hopefully this will make sense at the end. So, we will set our poll interval to 10, just for demonstration purposes only, so that you can see it updating. Normally, you would set this to a lot higher, depending on your preference and agreement about data collection from that website. We will leave the rest as 0 as they are not required. We will go through these other settings in a later video. Finally, we click on the Add button, and this will enter it into the system, although you will not see any changes at this point. The next entry starts by giving it a new name of SP500. As before, we right-click on the data. Notice that the value has changed in the value box, but this time we don't need to change the options, so we just click on Add. We do the same for the other 3 entries. Enter a name, NASDAQ, right-click, Add. Next name, NYSE, right-click, Add. Finally, SPTSX, right-click, and then Add. It is good practice to keep everything lowercase and alphanumeric only. Now that they have been added, we can go back up to the Webscraper label at the top left and select Resume Scraping. This will start the process of data collection. We can now go to our spreadsheet where we can enter the formulas in XPDA to see our collected data update. So, in the value box beside Dow Jones, I will put in the formula starting with equals RTD. Open bracket. Within the quotes, we put in the server which does the collecting from the web server to put into this cell. This is entered as DTS RT Excel dot RTD server, followed by a comma. Then the next token is left blank for future use, so we just put another comma and then open quote for our data name, which is Dow_Jones, close quote, and comma. The next token will be 1 in quotes. This is a field value that is for data. Other values will be explained later. Another comma, and finally Webscraper in quotes, which is our data feed, and close bracket. Remember that the feed name is case sensitive, so that web is with a capital W and scrape with a capital S. We can copy this formula down to the rest of the boxes and then change each of the names to reflect the value we want for them. You will notice on the Webscraper that the values are refreshed every 10 seconds. Thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, then feel free to contact us via email at support@rttechnologylabs.com. If you found this video useful, please like and subscribe to our channel for more useful tips on XPDA and the Webscraper.